stand here today, Fulani militants, Boko Haram, and other terrorist groups are actively committing genocide against Christians and other innocent people in Nigeria. Today, 60,000 innocent lives have been lost in Nigeria, including women and children. That is more than ISIS killed in Iraq and Syria combined. Countless more have been displaced from their homes. The situation in Nigeria is critical. In fact, experts have warned that the country has reached a tipping point and they are concerned about the security situation. Nigeria is imploding fast. The current situation in Nigeria threatens to undermine its stability. If the situation continues as is, the consequences wouldn't be confined to Nigeria's borders. Instead, the result could include economic, military, and cultural upheaval in the US and around the world. For all of these reasons, today, ICON is launching the Silence Order campaign in the US as part of a global campaign to end violence in Nigeria. We are asking US government officials and the Trump administration for immediate action to address this crisis. We are here today because urgent action is needed. The world can no longer turn a blind eye to the gross atrocities taking place in Nigeria. And we need to take action now before things get worse. It's our hope we are able to work with the United States government on behalf of the victims and vulnerable people in Nigeria to take formal action by creating a special envoy, or what we call Presidential Special Envoy to Nigeria and Lake Chad region. Please help me in welcoming Johnnie Perkins.
Thank you, Stephen, and thank you for the work of ICON, and I'm honored to stand with you. I'm here today at my capacity as President of the Family Research Council. I'm not here in my capacity as the Chairman of the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom, and my comments do not necessarily reflect the views of USCIRF. Religious freedom is under attack all across the world. It's become pandemic. It's spreading rapidly. Christians are a primary target of religious persecution, especially when we look at the country of Nigeria. I have adopted Leah Sheribu, who is a Nigerian girl who was captured, taken hostage by Boko Haram in Nigeria. We just celebrated or marked the second anniversary of her abduction. I've met with her mother on multiple occasions. She was a 15-year-old girl along with 100 other girls who were taken by Boko Haram. She has been the only one not to be released. And the reason is because despite the pressure, despite the demands, she has refused to renounce her faith in Jesus Christ. And if a 15-year-old girl can have the courage to stand for her faith, the rest of the free world should speak out on her behalf. We have an administration here in Washington, D.C., and the Trump administration that is unparalleled in its commitment to religious freedom. Earlier today, we met with Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, who has repeatedly stated that religious freedom is the #1 foreign policy of this administration. And that's not just words. We've seen it walked out over and over. A little over 2 years ago, I had the privilege of going to Turkey and helping bring home Andrew Brunson as a result of the work of this administration. Nigeria, you would say, well, you know, Nigeria is just another problem on the map. Nigeria happens to be the most populous country in the African continent. We must be paying attention to what is happening in Nigeria. It has the potential to affect the entire African continent and Europe. As we've already seen, the acute nature of this attack on Christians. Just this year, we've already seen over 300 Christians who have been killed. That's 50 Christians murdered each week. 7 to 8 on average every day. Thousands and more have been kidnapped and displaced from their homes due to the attack on their villages. Refugees could become a huge problem for the African continent and for Europe. This is a problem that we must solve. Now, I was encouraged to see that the Trump administration did identify Nigeria as a country of particular concern. And the reason is because, in large part, this systematic targeting of people of faith is being done while the government watches. And as has been mentioned, the attacks are not only by Boko Haram, but the Fulani extremists are also targeting these Christian villages. Now, I know all of these issues, and I've looked at them around the world where we have these conflicts. They are complex. But you don't have to look too deep into this situation to see that religion plays a role. And we hear it's an issue of resources. You've got the herdsmen versus the farmers. You know, we've got some governments saying it's all about climate change. This is about Christians being targeted for their faith. We have an obligation to speak up on their behalf. You know, we can't solve every problem in the world, but we can solve some. And we are right to focus on solving those problems that will bring the greatest return. And I'm convinced that if we move with precision, with insight, with understanding, and with a passion for the people of Nigeria, that we can solve this problem in Nigeria and not look back with regret in a decade from now because we witnessed another Rwanda. I'm proud to stand with Stephen Enada and the Nigerian people, and we will do all that we can to advocate on their behalf here in our nation's capital and